Welcome back to another episode of Jay-Z versus the movies. This time we're talking about Silent Hill. Let's go. Alright, so Silent Hill was in a time of bad video game movies, mostly 2008. A gem, a shining example of what you should do with a video game movie. But, you know, time has passed. Has it aged gracefully, or is it much like its 2012 sequel, a piece of shit? To be fair, I only ever saw the sequel once, but I definitely fell asleep and was not interested. I don't think so. I think this is actually a pretty good movie. I know heading into the season of horror movies and Halloween and horror games and whatnot, I should be more excited, but I just am so beyond that season at this point, especially the horror movie aspect of that season. So forgive me if I'm a little lackluster for having to watch horror movies all the year round, by the way. So, but yeah, but I do like this movie, Silent Hill. It's a good adaptation of the games. It draws from Silent Hill 1 a lot and also takes elements from Silent Hill 2, such as the hospital and the hotel. Of course, the hospital was also in the first game, but it's specifically the hospital from the second game, if I remember correctly. So yeah, oh, and Pyramid Head from the second game makes an appearance a bunch of times. So there's that aspect of it. But visually, it looks very much like Silent Hill. And even the characters look a lot like their in-game counterparts. Of course, you got Sean Bean playing James, not James Sunderland, I don't believe, but sort of a similar-ish character, kind of. His wife Rose there is the real main character. She's going after her daughter Sharon, very similar to the first game there. And of course, spoilers for Silent Hill and the first game as well. Of course, that's Alessa Gillespie. So, and we see Dahlia, and she's like really disheveled looking and that kind of stuff. And there's this whole cult, like in Silent Hill, there, like who are like witch hunters, basically, this kind of thing. You know, and a lot of that translates well to the screen. Some of that's obviously not from the games, but the aspects that are from the games translate really well. I think they did a good job with like the fog and the ash, snow kind of stuff. There's a lot of scenes directly ripped from the game, like when she goes down the alleyway, and then, you know, all the little blob children start to attack her, and she just starts freaking out and whatnot. So, then she wakes up in the diner. So I thought that was really cool. And there's like an earlier parts of the movie too, where like Sharon's freaking out. She's having all these like weird dreams and stuff, and she keeps yelling about Silent Hill. So this is why her mom like goes behind the dad's back there and takes her to Silent Hill. And it's nice to see all this build up because like she stops at places and she's like, how do you get to Silent Hill? And they're like, the roads don't go there anymore. And you know, the cops all like trying to stop her from going there too. And you see a lot of that kind of backstory. And also some of that backstory is played out through James and his character there. Sean Bean is kind of like the information dump. Because he's in the like real world version of Silent Hill. And then she's in like not only the more fucked up Silent Hill, but also the other world of Silent Hill. So there's like 3 Silent Hills really in this. And yeah, so that's interesting. I just like that. So I like how they added a little bit more to the story. Obviously they'd have to do that for a movie, um, but it being a 2 hour and some change movie, of course, it's gonna drag at some points. It is very suspenseful, and it has a really good sense of stuff from the games. You see a lot of the enemies from the games. You see a lot of the characters from the games, etc., etc. But at a certain point, um, it kind of draws on a little bit too long. I mean, not to say it's bad, but you know how I feel about that. I like very tight, concise stuff, or stuff that feels tight and concise, like the Before the Storm movie. Not even made by a major Hollywood film. I mean, this is much later on, but and they managed to make their movie feel tight and concise in 2.5 hours, which is very impressive. That would have been impressive for a Hollywood studio, but a fan movie did that and made me actually impressed by it. So like wow, so but we're not talking about that movie. We're talking about this movie, which is a little bloated at points and not too terribly. I still enjoy watching the movie, but that's mainly my biggest complaint with the movie, is that it's a little bloated in a couple spots. So um but other than that, it captures everything really well. It gets the characters, it gets the storyline and the town really well. The atmosphere, the music, they take a lot of it right from the games, so that's a plus. I mean, and a lot of it's like reinterpreted a little bit, but not too terribly different there. Um, yeah, overall, I mean, it's just a great adaptation of Silent Hill and some parts of the second one. And that's all it really comes down to. It just was a good movie, especially for its time, and a good adaptation of a video game movie. I mean, we had already had like three or four, I think it was three Resident Evil films at this point. Uh, all pretty decent. I did like the original three Resident Evil films. I think the first one was a little bit lacking. The second one was definitely like the best of them, because it was in Raccoon City, and then they did the third one. It was like this apocalypse thing, and it was fine. Everything beyond that just kind of jumps the shark. But we'll talk about those some other Halloween, I guess. But you didn't have much at this point for video game movies that were good. There was like the Doom movie, which kind of sucked, and like Super Mario Brothers, which most people didn't like, the live action one. Um, Stuff like that, nothing really held a candle to this at the time. It was very impressive in 2008. Even now it's still um, a nice little treat for the fans. A lot of people write this one off, like they don't really like it. I think they're remembering the second one and how they didn't really like that movie more so. But I do believe that this is a good movie and a good adaptation of Silent Hill. And yeah, I mean, and the only problems, like I said, is the problem that most movies have. They drag on for just a little bit too long. There's a tight hour 50 minutes movie or hour 45-minute movie in here, and they didn't take that route. They went with more, which is fine. But I mean, I'm just saying that's like it's like the one thing, So other than that, really good. Like every aspect of it really is very faithful and true to the games. Um, I'm not putting words in all fans' mouths, but I think most fans would enjoy this. But a lot of people pan the movie, and I think it doesn't deserve that. I think it's actually pretty good. Um, if not great, I think it's a great adaptation. I think it's one of those examples of an adaptation to Silent Hill or any franchise where you can just be like, hey, look, they did it. So like, what's the other people's problems here? Um, so yeah, very, very solid movie. Very good movie. Very great Silent Hill movie. It's the only great Silent Hill movie that we have. You know, they only made one more, and it sucked. So, we'll talk about that in a couple times here. And until then, stick around for more reviews, underrated movies, and games. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Jay-Z, out.